I'm going to show you where to set your wrist and more importantly what your wrist should look like when you set them. But before we get started, I need you to appreciate that I teach a lot of guys. I don't think I've ever taught two guys the same way. But I do try to push same fundamentals into different swings, right? We need to be doing similar things through impact to get the biggest bang for our buck. That being said, what I'm going to show you today I think works across the board. So let's get started. But first thing we need to do is make sure that when you set up, that club handle is going to be in your fingers or high in the palm. It is not going to be at putter position, right? So we have to make certain that both the pads are above the handle at address. That way you're able to hinge it here, turn back to P3, and hinge it here as well. Now, where do you set the wrist? Well, at a minimum, you're looking to maintain this relationship between the rod and your arms till the hands get outside your trail leg. Here, not here, okay? What we work on in the studio is something called push-pull. I get my guys to push their lead arm as far as they can from their chest. I don't want you pushing this way. I want you pushing your arms away, or your hands away from your chest, because we're trying to get as much room between the wrist and the chest. Once you feel as if you've pushed enough, you're going to take that trail arm and then start to pull a little bit. So we've got push here, pull right arm. And that way, by the time we get to P3, hopefully we're at 90 degrees with the club shaft and the arm. And when you take it back, you want to make certain that we don't want to be lifting the club up. I don't want you taking the club back like this. I don't want to roll the arms back too deep. I don't want to bring the hand up too high. What I want is for that club head to look like it's in your hands at your takeaway. So ideally, when you set up and you turn back, we're pushing. We don't start pulling until about here, hopefully. But at this point, you get to see club head in hands, not here, okay? Now, when you get to P3, what is the shaft pointing at? What I like to see is club shaft pointing outside target line, just a hair. And you can check it by using an alignment rod. This direction, okay, just outside target line. Now, I'm going to show you what disaster could be lurking if you're not paying attention to what your leading arm in the club face is doing. So I'm going to take a piece of tape with a T through it. I'm going to put up my watch face and get that to represent where my leading arm is looking. Now my direction, my mag direction, is going to show me where that leading edge is looking. So when I get to the top of my swing, now listen, if I was to do this, I could roll my wrist as much as I want and still get my leading arm to look the same direction. I'm trying to get these two married up. I want them to look very similar. So when I take the club back, I'm looking to see leading edge and my forearm the same. This look will get me to hook it. This look will get me to slice it, okay? So how do we check it? I know this isn't handy probably, so how do we check it with you? Well, I've got another piece of tape, bigger piece of tape, with a T push through it. We'll put that on the club face. So now I've got one on my one on my watch, one on the club face. And now I can take it back and see if I've got leading edge and forearm looking the same way. Now listen, when you do it, don't just do it. Do the drills, do the work. Do some mirror time, take the club back, take a look, and see if at P3, your club face, rather your leading edge, and the forearm of your leading arm are lined up. And if they are, well, then you're halfway there. Now listen, I appreciate you're not going to take this goofy drill to the range, but you would be well served in taking a little bit of knowledge and checking to see when you get to P3 if your leading arm and leading edge are mated. And if they are, even with tape on the face, you should have a decent result. Okay, do the work, enjoy the results.